Hi, my name is Yasmin Gergen. Thank you all for coming today. I'm going to be giving you guys a presentation on bullying in schools. So I'm sure we can all agree that bullying is a huge problem in schools today. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, during the 2010 to 2011 school year, 27.8% of students reported being bullied. That may not sound like a lot at first, but that comes out to about 1 in every 4 students. That does not even include all the incidents that go unreported or are not severe enough to be counted and taken seriously by the schools. Bullying has many definitions, and most definitions include the repetition of negative behavior. A common definition by Olius is a student is being bullied or victimized when he's exposed repeatedly and over time to negative actions on the part of one or more other students. Other factors in the definition of bullying is the victim's distress. How distressed the student is taken into consideration, but it is not measurable how distressed the student is, so that leaves a lot of gray area. The intent to harm is also important because the student who is bullying has to be intending to harm the person, and that's what sets it apart as bullying and not just a negative one-time behavior or an accident. The power of inequity. Usually there is a difference in hierarchy or backgrounds between the two people, and one feels more powerful than the other, and that's how bullying occurs, because he feels he has some sort of, that he's above the other person. And provocation. Usually, or sometimes, the bully is provoked by the victim, and that's how bullying occurs. So these are factors that makes bullying. Another type of bullying is cyberbullying. This is newer, and it's more likely to occur outside of school. Current research suggests that cyberbullying occurs with less prevalence than the other types of bullying, but still affects around 10 to 20% of adolescents who report being bullied or bullying others electronically. For American youth between ages of 10 and 24, suicide ranks as the 3rd leading cause of death. And bullying increases adolescents' risk of suicide. In a study done by Litwiller and Roche in 2013, they found that 33% of adolescents reported being a victim to physical bullying, 23% of adolescents reported being a victim of cyberbullying, and 30% of adolescents reported experiencing suicidal ideation or performing suicidal behavior in the past year. The frequency of cyberbullying and verbal bullying affects females more than males, but males are affected more by verbal bullying. And males were more frequently found to be bullies and the victims. So it's usually males that are being the bullies and are victimized, but females are bullied as well. So some of the characteristics of bullies are that they do not have good parenting, they don't have a good at-home life and family life, they lack discipline, their parents are not disciplining them appropriately, aren't teaching them how they should behave. They perform more poorly in school, they get worse grades than the others, and they have a higher risk of substance abuse and criminal behavior later on in life. They're usually less like adults too. Some studies have shown that bullies are often physically larger than their peers, especially in the earlier grades. So usually the bigger students would be picking on the smaller students, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. They feel some sort of power over the other one, so they feel that's why they can bully. These are the characteristics of the victims. So the opposite is true here. The victims tend to be smaller and weaker in some ways than those who bully them. Not just physically, right? In some way. They're weaker, and that's why the bullies usually pick on them. People who are victims are usually anxious, fearful, insecure, depressed. They have poor self-esteem. And the victims end up skipping school a lot, and sometimes eventually even dropping out of school. They're more likely to bring a weapon to school to seek revenge. So that's why all those stories that you guys know about, that you hear in the news, usually those shootings that occur at schools are due to what? Bullying. Because they were bullied, they want to seek revenge, and they end up bringing a knife or a gun, and that's why you hear those stories on the news. So in Miami-Dade County Public Schools, they take bullying very seriously. They have policies in place to deal with those who are bullying or who have been bullied. The consequences can range from positive behavioral interventions up to and including suspension or even expulsion. The way bullying works and reporting bullying is a student or a staff member who has seen or witnessed or heard about bullying will take the complaint and make a formal complaint to the principal or the designated person who takes these complaints of bullying. Then there's a process to go about this complaint. The first thing they will do is investigate the complaints. Of course, it was received confidentially, and they will keep that confidential until later if needed. They will meet with the person who filed the complaint to get more information, to ensure all the paperwork has been filed correctly, that they have all the information surrounding the event, so they have the proper knowledge of what actually happened. Then they'll meet with the alleged bully to hear their side of the story, also to include that in the paperwork and see if this is actually something worth looking into, that this is true, right? Because sometimes, students could lie to get someone in trouble, but that's why they have to take every complaint seriously, and they have to investigate everything. So then they'll acquire witnesses. Usually there are witnesses because sometimes also bullies bully to look cool and to seem more popular. So they will do it in front of people. So then they will acquire the witnesses who were there, and then an investigation will begin. And then they will see if it was true, the bullying, and then they will go along with the consequences set forth in the policy, depending on how bad the bullying was. If it is found that it falls within the scope of the district, then they'll handle the situation with the procedures they have in place, like I just said. But if it does not fall within the scope of the district and it's more severe and it's criminal, then the school will contact the proper authority to make sure that this situation is handled. And if it does not fall within the scope of the school boundaries and it's not criminal, then they'll just contact the parents or the guardians of all the students involved and have them deal with what's going on. So bullying prevention and intervention is very important. Studies show that bullying tends to peak in late childhood to early adolescence, making prevention and intervention efforts in middle school crucial. So a middle school started an anti-bullying program called Bully Busters. What Bully Busters was it was a play that they presented to 6th graders, and later on they did it in elementary schools as well, where the play included different scenes of bullying and how the students should be acting to bullying and what's not tolerated and what should not be tolerated. So just everything that you would see in bullying, they created a play about it. After the play, there was a discussion with the students and the staff so that the students could process their own feelings and discuss alternative ways of handling bullying situations, because obviously, negative behavior such as bullying is not the way to handle situations. And the principal spoke to the students about the zero tolerance policy, because as I said, Miami-Dade County Public Schools has a zero tolerance policy for bullying. Then the teachers were provided with strategies for dealing with bullies so that in their classroom they would know the best way to deal with these situations. And in their classrooms they would create anti-bullying rules so that the students could know what rules were in place and what consequences would ensue if they did bully. And they signed an anti-bullying pledge to refrain from bullying and to report bullying. So that way, if someone is bullying, they report it to the teacher and she can find out and take the proper steps to make sure the behavior does not continue to occur. Then, Bully Busters was a success, and they even performed it to the Parent-Teacher Association so that the parents would be informed. The results of this program that this school created was that there was a 20% reduction in bullying incidents in the middle school. The teachers were now more aware of bullying because now they knew what to look for, and they were more aware of it to look for it. And the students reported bullying more often because they felt more comfortable, because they knew that they were safe and the school cared and the school wanted to protect them from bullying. Then another school, an elementary school, made an anti-bullying program. And in this program, the teachers generated 5 core values: respect, responsibility, honesty, readiness to learn, and personal best. To target through a character education program, a focus on decreasing verbal bullying became their main goal, and target areas for change included educating students, preparing teachers, and modifying school climate. The way they did this was by creating a positive environment at the school. They had the counselors have the students practice complimenting each other, and being positive and uplifting. The teachers reinforced positive behaviors all the time in their classrooms, and the students were taught conflict resolution skills. The proper way to resolve conflict instead of calling each other names or hitting each other physically. Rules were established. An example they gave was that they had to give 2 positive comments for every negative comment. The teachers also helped because they participated in a 20-hour training program on bullying and aggression prevention, then educated students about bullying through a cooperative learning curriculum, so they put it in the curriculum and taught them how to prevent bullying. And as a result from the strong commitment of the teachers, it was reported there was less verbal bullying, and they believe that other schools should implement this in elementary schools to teach the students the proper way and have this positive environment so that bullying does not occur. Both programs targeted the entire school. It was as a whole, they worked together to try to stop bullying from occurring. So they brought in the students, the parents, and the community so that everyone was aware and everyone was trying to avoid having bullying in their school. And teachers who chose to participate in bullying have less bullying issues in their classroom, and because they attended these trainings, they feel more confident and able to intervene with bullies than those who do not. In order for these programs to work, the school as a whole must have the rules in place. It must be clear and consistent regarding it so that the bullies know they can't get away with that behavior and that they will be punished. And the teachers need to remain aware of bullying and constantly monitor students to ensure the behavior is not occurring. So some interventions for the victims, if they have been bullied, the school personnel and other adults should provide interventions and help them. So ways we can help them is to help them understand that it's not their fault they were bullied and they don't deserve to be treated this way. We need to try to help them increase their self-esteem, help them identify their strengths and the accomplishments to increase their confidence. If they're more confident, the bullies will likely not target them. And they need to taught to be assertive, because if they're being assertive with the bully, same thing. They'll stop targeting them because it's not an easy target anymore, and they'll try to find someone else, or obviously, hopefully we stop it before they do target someone else. And if they improve their social skills, they'll also have friends and be less likely to be bullied and made fun of. Interventions for the bullies. Well, the bullies need to be taught new ways of interacting with others instead of stooping low to negative behaviors like verbal abuse or physical abuse. They need to be taught empathy. A lot of times bullies don't have empathy, and how to identify emotions. Sometimes they can't feel or notice the emotions within themselves, let alone within others. So they need to be taught that. They need to be taught self-control and skills to manage their conflict resolution and their anger so that they don't just lash out when they're angry. They need to be taught how to have self-control. They need to have social skill training so that they're talking properly to others, and they need friendship making skills, because a lot of times bullies bully because they're lonely and they're trying to make friends. They still need support from adults, and we need to see why they act the way they do before we punish them, because sometimes they are acting the way they do because it's what they see at home. Maybe their parents act that way, and that behavior they're seeing is what they do at school, even though it's not appropriate for the school environment. So if we see that this is what they've been taught and they have no intention of hurting other people and they don't know any better, if the intent to harm is not there, then we should educate them instead of punish them. And of course, parents need to be made aware of these bullying prevention and intervention programs so that they know about it, and they will of course be told if their child is bullying or has been found a victim of bullying. So in conclusion, bullying can have detrimental consequences like depression and suicide ideation in adolescents, which is why it's so important to prevent bullying and intervene as soon as possible. It has been proven that males and females who are victimized are both at an elevated risk of experiencing problems related to mental health due to bullying. It's vital for us to come together to target bullying and help decrease its occurrence as a community, And this way the students will have a safer learning environment. When students feel safer, it's proven that they will learn better and more. So if we come together and have them not worrying about bullying, they can learn more, which is what we want in our schools. Are there any questions?
I have one. How can we, as community members, prevent bullying?
Well, like I said, to prevent bullying, we would want to, as community members, just model the best behavior we can to those we meet, especially the adolescents, because they're very susceptible to behaviors that adults are portraying. So as long as we are being positive role models and showing them that negative talk, like talking to people negatively, is not the way to do that, they will probably follow. So if you're positive, they'll be positive, and we should be able to have them not bullying and prevent it. Are there any other questions?
Does the school have any, other than, after they identify the bully, you mentioned about suspensions and probably expulsion.
Yeah.
But do they have counseling for bullies?
Yeah, they do. They have behavioral programs so with counselors and sometimes even psychologists to help them if they see that's fit. If that's needed, they do have those programs. Yeah.
Will they also consider the bully to be a victim of, like you're saying, from their own upbringing also?
They can be, if that's found that their family is bullying them or, causing that behavior. That's possible.
Alright.
Okay, thank you all for coming.
You're welcome.
Bye.